All right. Good afternoon. Uh, Charan, take a quick minute to introduce yourself.
Yep, name's Jaron Breland. I'm the product engineering supervisor. I've been working at that role for about a year. No, sorry, 6 months now. I've been with the company for 5 years though.
Great. So, Jaran, all these are very general questions. Okay.
hmm
So, how would you describe this organization's culture in 3 words, and why those?
Say quick pace, agile, and professional for the most part. Yeah.
And why those 3 words?
Just experience working with the individuals over the 5 years. So.
Okay. So, how are decisions typically made here? Top-down collaboration or a mix? Can you give an example?
Uh, I'd say for the most part they're collaborative, especially regarding like solving problems with kappas and then diving deep into root cause analysis. Very collaborative, not so much on a top down. And most project decisions are at least made collaboratively. Rarely do I find that it's a management top down kind of forcing a direction.
So, can you give a particular example for that?
Uh, I know the SIVBED issue that we're having with our SOC line. We did a massive Six Sigma review. What's it called? Ishikawa. We reviewed all the possible failure points. That was a large group effort with multiple technicians, managers, and engineers.
Perfect.
So.
Okay. So, how does the leadership communicate the strategic shifts in this organization?
Let me just reread the question. How does the leadership communicate changes or strategic shifts in the organization? I'd say for on the management side, now that I've been part of it, they typically communicate that with the management ahead of time. But as far as the typical non-management worker, you don't get it till an email comes, unless you're directly impacted. They'll usually give you a heads up like a day or two beforehand.
Okay. So, do they have any kind of communication meetings?
So from the last one where we did an engineering restructuring, the management side obviously got notified, hey, we're probably going to do this a month out in advance. And then we got with our individual team members, letting them know, hey, this is what's going to structure is going to change, and where potentially my direct reports, if they are getting moved, what would their potential new roles would be. And then the last would be once when the shift actually happens, doing that actual transition.
Okay. So, what behaviors are most rewarded or recognized in this organization, in the overall organization and in your group as well?
Wait, say that again?
So, what behaviors are most rewarded or recognized in this organization?
Going above and beyond, specifically, I know we've had to work a couple Saturdays once in a while. Anything that has exemplary improvements to the product. Example, when I was like I think, first year here, I pointed out an issue where we were doing something with the product lines that requires balance. And so we had an issue where it was one side had one thing and the other side of the product didn't, and pointed that out, and then that actually got MPD to review and figure out, and found out that it was a cost saving measure that ended up costing us more in quality, so they reversed that. That got exemplary action for myself when I was a junior engineer. I know when Justin Jr. was working here, he was a previous operations manager. Anybody that had any sort of improvement to the bottom line, he made sure that you had verbal acknowledgement in a large group setting.
Okay, so going beyond your job responsibilities.
Yeah.
So, again, within your group or outside of your group, so how does the organization usually handle conflicts between individuals or departments?
Privately, typically. Obviously, if there's an outburst in a large group, that's a little different. But if we're having performance issues with an individual, our team does one-on-ones monthly. So I have review with each of my own direct reports monthly of how they're going, things that they can improve on, what they're doing well in. and any issues that they got with their projects currently. So
Okay.
that way there's that ongoing communication.
Okay. So how does the organization support cross-functional collaboration? Do you guys have any tools to do that, or is it just ad hoc?
I'd say for the most part it's ad hoc. We obviously use Microsoft Teams and Outlook, but I would say for the most part it's ad hoc.
Okay. So what are some unwritten rules of working here that a new employee should know?
Say that again?
What are the unwritten rules of working here that a new employee should know?
That any new employee should know. I would say whenever you're making any change, be under the assumption that whatever you're doing may come in front of a court of law. Since we are dealing with medical devices, that needs to be considered. Anything that you do may well be a negative effect to a patient. You need to consider that and make sure you're doing your due diligence. So where if ever somebody does get harmed, you're at least for sure that you did the most that you could to prove that
Mhm.
the change was acceptable.
Anything from a culture standpoint that they should be aware of before when they step in?
I'm not aware of anything I can think of.
Okay. Right. So how does the organization balance performing and employee well-being?
I haven't had any issues with balancing those two. I know that I try to make it very clear to my directs that, hey, if they need to go to the doctor's office or hospital for whatever reason, that your health is priority. Go take that time. I don't want anybody to be working here while potentially spreading that, because then that could get other people sick.
Okay.
So, and that'll actually just further hinder the business.
Yeah, that's sure. So how would you describe your personal leadership and management style?
So through our most last recent leadership training, I'm a catalyst leader, where I like to find change and find improvement and make changes quickly, which I do find to be frustrating in a medical device industry where we do have to do a lot of paperwork. So I do have to check myself. It's like, hey, make sure that what change we're doing, we're following the paperwork, but I'm all about wanting to find improvements.
Okay, I'm more of a transformational leader.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So how would you motivate a team member or team members with different personalities and working styles?
A key aspect is those one-on-ones, trying to understand each individual member, understanding what motivates them, what gets them excited, and potentially what areas that they don't like working with. Obviously, there's plenty of stuff everybody does that they don't like, but trying to get people to focus on things that they do enjoy can help everybody be more active and more motivated at work. Are you wanting examples or anything like
Yeah,
that?
for example, how would you manage an introvert as opposed to an extrovert? How do you, delegate work to them, and what kind of projects you assign, those kind of stuff?
Well, for engineering, I wouldn't say introvert versus extrovert has really much difference in workload, but I would say maybe an introvert is more apt to want to work in the lab, where they're focusing on working on an individual project, while an extrovert might be more interested in doing like cross-functional teamwork, where they're working with others. That might be something to consider.
So yeah, so again, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head there, but what I'm asking there is, so when you communicate this to them, right, so you tell them, hey, this is your strength, this is what you're good at doing, or how the communication, how do you get the message across to them to say, this is why you are actually doing this job?
Well, first off, that would be more, I'm more of a collaborator, so I'm in those one-on-ones, I'm asking them more so than telling them. So I'm asking them, hey, so far I've given you, when they first come on, I'm not being particular of what I give them, I'll give them different things. But for example, I don't want to throw, one of our engineers who's more interested in testing, they did do a lot of design work. We tried them at design work, and we've found that they are not that good at design work. They take longer, like significantly longer, like 5-6 times longer than others. But on the paperwork side and doing testing, they're amazing. So we've pretty much focused on giving them test work, and more of the CAD related work we focus on other individuals that have that better suited. So even though they're both are engineers at trade, they have different strengths. So you don't want to make a fish walk on land.
Okay, absolutely, yeah. So with that, right, all on the same lines. So how do you handle somebody who's underperforming, and to make them better?
First, you want to make sure, are you giving them all the training tools first? Because obviously you're the leader. You need to be set forth to make sure that you're providing with every access to succeed. And then when that has been exhausted, it's either to set forth a PIP to make them understand that, hey, this is where you're lacking, or find where their strengths are and where they potentially need to get transferred to. So.
Okay. So what do you value the most in your direct reports? Results, attitude, collaboration, or something else?
Repeat those three options.
Results, attitude, collaboration, or something else?
Let me see. What number are we on?
13.
13. Results, attitude, collaborations. I would say results is first and foremost, but obviously you need to be able to not cause undue friction with other departments regarding like collaboration. So I think that has been some sticking point for some individuals who have been let go, is that they choose to induce friction with other individuals, and that is unacceptable. You need to obviously focus on being collaborative and have a stand-up attitude, but obviously first and foremost is how well the business does in getting your job done.
Excellent. Okay. So if an employee of yours wants to take more responsibilities, so how would you handle that situation?
Typically this gets brought up in the one-on-one, but I wouldn't even just limit it to more responsibilities. I would obviously give them tasks that they're interested in, that what they want to learn on, as well as potentially, if they're not trained on that, potentially set them up with training courses. I know we've been working on that with some of our junior ones, our junior engineers, of getting them training set forth to where they could potentially expand their knowledge base, because that is only a pro to, one, their career, and two, the company itself, of having more, expanded knowledge of assets of individuals. So.
Okay. So give them a better toolkit.
Yeah.
So they can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
So from a feedback standpoint, right? So do you give feedback formally, informally, or both?
Definitely both. Obviously, the one-on-one is a formal setting, but most of the engineers I work with next to informal all the time. Of, hey, your writing is horrible, or hey, you need to make your reports more direct or explicit. Giving that feedback constantly to where they can improve themselves.
Okay. Last question. So can you share an example of a team member whom you have helped and for them to develop and grow?
Yeah, no names though,
No
right?
names, just a simple example that you have done.
Yeah, I've given access to multiple of our engineers, not just in the manufacturing side, but the quality side, of various Six Sigma training, online course training. I'm trying to get more and more people to go to what are those things called? Industry expos, to where you can see what other, not our competition, one, as well as what other offerings are in maybe other industries that could potentially help us. I feel like that we can definitely improve on.
Okay. All right, Jaron, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.